Early indications are that the 21 teenagers killed in the eNCA Tarvin died of chemical poisoning. The official cause of death, though, will only be announced once the forensic and toxicology exams are completed. Forensic pathologist Dr. Hestel van Staden joins us now to discuss the dangers of carbon monoxide, and just a disclaimer that we are not insinuating that this is the official cause of the death of the 21 teenagers. We're still yet to hear of that officially from authorities. But Doc, thank you so much for joining us, and good morning to you. The reality is that carbon monoxide inhalation is dangerous. What are the dangers of inhaling this?
Morning, Dumelo. Thank you for having me. Yes, carbon monoxide is a very dangerous chemical, very dangerous poison. The problem is that it is odorless, it is tasteless, it is colorless, so people don't actually know that they are inhaling carbon monoxide. It's also a chemical which binds very tightly to hemoglobin in the blood. Now, as you know, hemoglobin's main function, or the blood's main function, is to carry oxygen-rich blood to the organs. Now, in the place of oxygen, there's carbon monoxide bound to the hemoglobin, which means this toxin is being delivered throughout the body to all the different tissues. It binds 200 to 300 times more potently to the hemoglobin compared to the binding of oxygen. And apart from that, it also shifts the oxygen dissociation curve to the left, which basically means the blood struggles to give off its oxygen. So not only is there this toxin in the blood, but the oxygen that is available in the blood is also not given off to the tissues.
Sure.
So it's a very dangerous chemical.
Yeah, it is, Doc. And how much of it is fatal?
It's very difficult to say. What we do know, and specifically again, like I said, because of the high binding capacity, the figures are that 0.5 to 1% saturation of or presence of carbon monoxide in the air leads to approximately 75% saturation in your blood within 2 to 15 minutes. So that's a massive amount that happens very quickly.
Yeah.
It's also dependent on interpersonal factors. So we know that young children, babies, breathe much faster, so they are at higher risk. The elderly that have underlying conditions such as ischemic heart disease or any respiratory problem would also be at a greater risk.
Yeah, and also just in terms of symptoms, Doc, what are the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning?
So usually it presents with headache, and the feeling of tightness. It then rapidly continues from there on to lead to confusion, to decreased respiration, to vomiting, nausea, like I said, decreased respiration, and also decrease in the heart rate. The person then becomes comatose before eventually dying.
Right. And how long, rather, does it take to sort of rid the poison out of one system, if at all that is possible?
It is possible, but it would require medical attention. So how we treat that is with pure oxygen at a high pressure. So we give a person pure oxygen. We also try and give support for the other systems. So, for example, if there's brain swelling, we try and address that. Yeah,
and also just in terms of households, what gives off rather carbon monoxide in a home? And I'm saying here for families to also be aware that you could be in a home not even aware that there's danger looming, and you might be inhaling this and feeling sick, but you're not aware that the cause root of the problem is this particular inhalation of a poison.
Well, the well-known one is obviously motor vehicle exhaust fumes.
Right.
That's the first one. Then gas or kerosene heaters, a fire in your house, just a normal fire. And then, unfortunately, in South Africa at the moment, the problem that we have generators.
Yeah. And what should families be, doing to protect themselves, just to be aware? No, information is first key, so you know what you're dealing with. But what else can, families do to ensure that they prevent inhaling such poison?
Good ventilation is the first thing. So obviously there needs to be an open source so that we have ventilation and the possibility for these fumes to escape from the area. So an open door, an open window. It is unfortunate so that even with an open window or an open door, one can still succumb or still be exposed to carbon monoxide poisoning because, again, like I said, there's such a high binding capacity. So one needs to have proper ventilation to make sure that this toxins actually leave the area.
And also I wanted to talk about, you know, the timing with which, you know, after inhaling this carbon monoxide, Doc, it could get very fatal. I mean, how much time do you have if you keep inhaling this poisonous smell over and over again? When do you need to definitely be out of the room, get medical attention before your life is threatened?
Well, like I said to you, I think you need to leave as soon as possible, as soon as you realize there is a problem. Like I mentioned before, you can reach toxic levels within less than 15 minutes. So it's a rapidly escalating problem, so one needs to address it as soon as possible.
Well, I appreciate you coming and educating us about this. I think this is quite insightful for all of us, but I appreciate you, Dr. Hesself and Saram, for talking to us. Forensic pathologist, talking to us about the dangers of carbon monoxide inhalation.